Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. We're going to talk about Hakeem Olajuwon, Hakeem the Dream. And look, I've been hearing a lot of disrespect about Hakeem from people saying he's not a top 10 player, maybe not a top 15 player. And let's take into account, because a lot of LeBron fans, they only use championships when it's good for them. When it's not good for them, you can't use championships no more. You got to use, I don't know what the criteria is after that for them. Everything else would be a joke. You know, maybe LeBron has 4 MVPs, but if we didn't use championships, would we actually use finals MVPs? Finals MVPs wouldn't count neither, right? I'm not too sure. We would have to throw the whole thing out of the equation. Yes, you could use MVPs, but statistical titles really tell how dominant you was at a statistical stat, at points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, stuff like that. It's a lot of guys in the league. I'm not sure the number, but if you come out as number 1 per game each year, or one of those years, in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, you was pretty damn good. You was pretty good. You was not only battling all these other players in the league, but you might be going against some players on your team. So to me, I've always used statistical titles to measure how great a player was. Because to me, I know back in the days, everything was a positional game. You know, say a small forward, he had to have certain positional skills at that position. Guard, certain position, or shoot guard, certain positional skills at that position. Point guard, certain positional skills at that position. Center, certain positional skills at that position. Power forward, certain positional skills at that position. So, more than likely, to get those points, rebounds, blocks, assists, steals, you would have to develop certain skills at your position to accumulate those stats. Okay, for a guard, it might his skills to get steals might be different than, like, say, a center, right? Or blocks. A center guy, his skills might be different than a guard getting blocks. Just because they're different size players, they play different positions, etc., etc. But this is why I'm so highly on statistical titles. And it shows me how skilled you really were. Because again, you're going against all these guys in the league to capture that title. When I look at players like Dennis Rodman, I think he's got like 7 rebound titles, if I'm not mistaken. You know, he's got a couple of defensive players of the year. I look at Dwight Howard. I think he's got like 2 block titles. What is it, like 5 rebound titles and 4 defensive players of the years. So to me, just those 2 guys alone, I would consider them more skilled than LeBron James. I would consider them more skilled than LeBron James, because when we look at his resume in his statistical titles, what does he have? An assist title and a scoring title. 2 statistical titles in 21 seasons. So when you look at something like what you see on the screen, the GOAT tier players, Michael Jordan would come in first. And how I measure the pyramid or the GOAT tiers of the top 7 is based on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, And I always put this out, and I tell people right before I tell you guys, before I tell you who they are, I tell you the criteria. And then in my comments, I will have guys saying, based on what? Where's this guy? Where's Bird? How come this guy's not in? I tell you a criteria, and I'm going to tell you right now what the criteria is. I shouldn't even have to tell you. You should be able to look on the screen and see what the criteria is. You listen to Stephen A. Smith. You listen to Shannon Sharp. You listen to Chris Broussard. You listen to Rob Parker. You listen to Shannon Sharp or Nick Wright or all these buffoons and other people, and they will not ever tell you a criteria. They'll just tell, oh, this guy's more skilled, or this guy has 6 championships, or this guy's been playing for 21 seasons. That's not a criteria. It's more than naming 1 or 2 things. That's not going to cut it, and that's why everybody is pissed off. This is the criteria. Championships, finals MVPs, statistical titles, and defensive player of the year. That's the criteria. So when you put all these things together, here's the ranking right here. My top 7. And we can keep going. I'm just telling you what the top 7 is. And when you put all these things together, this is where these guys rank. Yes, we could be like, oh man, but what about this? What about that? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know if LeBron was doing PEDs. If he was doing PEDs in the long run, he gets caught. He's out of the top 7 right here. He's out of the top 75. But you got to have some type of criteria. It's not based on if you like somebody. It's about what that person did on the floor in his overall career. That's what counts. There's nothing for longevity stats. That's just a pat on the back. Somebody playing for 21 seasons, a pat on the back. Now, if you was dominant in those 21 seasons when you was getting these longevity stats, that might be a little bit different. You was getting statistical titles. You was winning championships. So when we go all the way down here to number 7, we see Hakeem Olajuwon. He's right behind LeBron James at number 7 with 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, 1 MVP. He thought he should have had another MVP. They gave it to David Robinson, and this guy's a straight killer. He's like Michael Jordan. What happened that season? They gave Barkley a championship. Michael Jordan went and slapped the fuck off and went crazy in the finals. 41 points per game. What happened when they gave Karl Malone the championship? MVP. Michael Jordan went slap off. And he got his revenge in the finals. That's what Hakeem did too. It wasn't in the finals, but they met in the playoffs, and Hakeem went off and schooled David Robinson. David Robinson, I don't know what happened to him that game. It's hard to shake David Robinson and make him look silly, goofy, and everything else, but he had David Robinson looking silly. David Robinson was missing all kind of shots, couldn't defend Hakeem. Because as a center, once that jumper starts falling, you can't do nothing. Your opponent can't do nothing once that jumper, especially the mid-range, starts falling. You don't have too many centers these days that got mid-range jumpers. Like a David Robinson, like a Hakeem, especially a Patrick Ewing. I don't know what they was doing with the Knicks organization. They should have got that guy another top 75 player. I don't know what happened over there. They had an all-around good team, but they should have got that guy a great perimeter player. I think he would have won at least 1 or 2 championships. If I'm not mistaken, they went to the finals twice and lost. So, yeah. 1 MVP, 2 rebound titles, 2 block titles, and two-time Defensive Player of the Year. So if it wasn't for LeBron's two more championships, two more final MVPs, and three more MVPs, he would be in front of LeBron. Now, if we just go based on a skilled player, Hakeem is in front of LeBron. And he might be in front of Magic. I don't think I could put him in front of Russell. Because Russell would have maybe like 3-4 Defensive Players of the Years. Maybe 5 block titles. If they were around. I think he might be splitting some of that stuff with Wilt Chamberlain. Some of those titles and rebound titles. Not rebound titles, block titles. In Defensive Players of the Years. He might be splitting them with Wilt Chamberlain. So I can't put him in front of Russell. I just don't think I can do that. But I can put him in front of Magic if that's all we were counting. And a lot of people, I'm gonna just tell you again one more time, since you don't understand the criteria, you're gonna keep saying it for some reason, even though I tell you in the beginning what it's about. Tim Duncan is not on here. He's never had one statistical title. He's not on here. So if I was to gather up his championships, his MVPs, and finals MVPs, he might be somewhere, he'd probably be in the top 10. Let me see. Maybe Larry Bird? Let me see. I don't know if he's got 3 championships, 3 MVPs, and 2 finals MVPs, and no statistical titles. So I'm not sure. He might be on here. Maybe in the top 10. And maybe somebody like Moses Malone might be in here. Maybe somebody like Steph Curry might be in that top 10. But yeah. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, I think he is number 8. I think he's right behind Hakeem on this. He's right behind Hakeem. He's got 5 championships, 2 MVP, finals MVPs, 1 MVP, and 2 statistical titles. Bro, we just can't make up stuff. And what I'm going to tell you is, yes, LeBron doesn't deserve some of these MVPs. He doesn't deserve 2 of the MVPs, at least, when he was in Miami. We all know that. He was on a stacked super team. And these players were Bosh and Wade, 2 top 5 players at the time, especially in the East. So he didn't deserve those MVPs. Now, in Cleveland, it's questionable. He led his team to 2 back-to-back best records in the NBA. He was the number 1 seed in the entire playoffs. Top 5 in offense and defense. So, I mean, that's debatable right there. Maybe Kobe should have won. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you about Kobe that puts him, so low in my criteria, he doesn't have the statistical titles. And he doesn't have the MVPs that add up to put him in front of LeBron and Hakeem and anybody else. To me, we talk about Kobe being this great scorer, which he was. And he's got, 2 scoring titles. Where's his steals titles? No block titles? I mean, not block titles. He could have had way more scoring titles. Him and Shaq broke up, 04, 05 or something like that? How come there were other people getting the scoring title on his watch? They wasn't doing that on Michael Jordan's watch. Michael Jordan said, I'm an all-time scorer. I'm an all-time great scorer. And I'm going to show you, nobody in the league is going to outscore me. Whether it was in the late 80s and all through the 90s. Kobe didn't do that. Kobe said, let me get some great scoring games. Yes, he won 2 scoring titles, but he could at least, how come he didn't have 5? If you wanted to be like Mike, you would at least have 5 when you and Shaq broke up. You wanted to be like Mike, how come you didn't lead the league in steals at least 2 years? Mike did it twice. And Mike had real competition at the time. Because Mike was 200 plus steals a season. Kobe, 0 times. So that ought to tell you how tough that era was in defense. Well, Mike only had 3 steals titles, but he had 6 straight plus 200 plus steal seasons. That's nuts. That's nuts. I mean, for you to take 2 years off and still come back and lead the league in scoring, that's crazy. And you do it off of going mid-range crazy, because when he came back, when he started to play the full seasons, 96, 97, 98, these were tougher shots. The league has slowed down. He slowed down. He was no more Air Jordan like that. So the majority of his shots were from the mid-range. I mean, they always have been from the outside, but they went up even more. I would say about 80%. 80% of the shots he was taking or attempting were from the mid-range. So for you to lead the league in scoring and shooting that much mid-range is insane. So this is where I got Hakeem. And like I said, maybe if, it finds out that LeBron was doing PEDs, he's out the top 7. That dude is out the top 1,000. These championships, these finals, well, especially the finals MVPs, and the MVPs don't count. I'm giving that the MVPs, I'm giving that to Kobe. And then he'll be, what? I think he might be number 6. If not number 7, Hakeem might move up. But yeah, Hakeem is the most skilled center of all time. If we're talking about positional, then what are we talking about? Most skilled center of all time. And you could probably put him maybe tied with Wilt Chamberlain, really. Him and Wilt. I would say him and Wilt. If not Wilt, number 1. And then I would go with Kareem. And then maybe Bill Russell. I mean, look, Dwight Howard has an argument in this. 5-time rebound champion. I think he has 2 block titles and no. He has 5 rebound titles, 2 block titles, and 4 defensive players of the year.